Hey guys, Jessica and Cadence here from ReconstructionLife.com. And as we're getting prepared for the winter months, we are pulling out our chicken broth that we love to make to help us for sicknesses and just in a pinch for good hearty warm meals. And today we're going to show you how we make that. Hi everyone, we're here today to show you how we make a quick and easy chicken broth that we use in a pinch. And I've got Cadence to be my lovely assistant. So for chicken broth, this is nothing gourmet. This is just what we do when we are just trying to get something out quickly. It's especially good for sickness or unexpected company, where you can make a lot with just very few ingredients and hopefully things that you already have at home. So I just have some chicken here. Today I'm just using drumsticks, and I actually do this a lot because it's a way that I can get organic, healthy chicken for a cheaper price, because drumsticks are usually the cheapest way to go, and it actually makes a really good broth that's very flavorful because it has the bones and all the parts that are needed for making the broth to taste really yummy. And then we have some garlic, celery, onions, carrots, apple cider vinegar. That's a special ingredient that really helps make the broth more nutritious. And some seasonings. I have thyme, oregano, and sage. And when available, I use those fresh, but right now it's raining, so we have just our dried. And then we have also, if you're feeling very brave, a chicken foot. That will add a lot of collagen to the broth to make it thicker and just to make it more nutritious, but you can totally leave that part out. It took us a long time before we were willing to try that, and now we're glad we did. So we just put in the chicken right into the pot, and then we will fill the pot to, basically, I just always fill this one, but it's the right size for the amount that I'm using. And I use cold water, and then I add a couple tablespoons of the apple cider vinegar because that will pull out the nutrients from the bones. And sometimes I'll let that set for a little while I'm getting the rest of the stuff chopped before I start turning it on, so that way it can have more time to pull out the nutrients. A whole lot of measurements when I'm making broth, so it's probably about a tablespoon or two, and it's kind of fine. It doesn't really matter if it's exact. If your family doesn't like apple cider vinegar, of course, use a little bit less because it will make a little bit of a flavor in the broth, but it's a really good hearty flavor. Next, we'll go ahead and chop the onion. Cadence, you want to show us how we like to chop onions to make it easy?
So you're going to want to cut the onion in half, so you have the hairy end and not hairy end. Okay, and now you're going to want to cut off the not hairy end, so this side. And then I like to just take off a little bit of this skin, wrapping, whatever. And then you want to cut it like this, go along the little lines in the onion. So, but not all the way through, so you don't want it to come off all the way. Also, don't want to chop off your fingers. Okay, so now it's got all these little slices in it. And because an onion has a bunch of different layers, the next thing that's easiest to do is just to chop it down the slices. Like, and then you want to not eat the hairy part, so you're just going to put that aside. And then if your chops are still a little big, you can chop them up again.
For soup or for broth, you can just leave them big because we're not going to actually eat those parts, so we just toss that right into the pot. We're going to also coarsely chop the celery and carrots as well, but again, it doesn't have to be pretty. It's going right in the broth. We're not going to actually eat this part. It'll all get strained out in the end. Okay, you can also add some garlic. For broth, I usually just take a few pieces, and I don't even worry so much about getting all the wrapper off, and just give them a couple of smashes so that those juices can get in there, and just toss that all right in. I'm going to add my chicken foot. And the seasonings I save till right before it's done so they don't become bitter. I go ahead and turn that on. I'm going to start it at a boil. As soon as it boils, turn it down to a simmer. This broth only needs to cook for about 4 to 6 hours, but in a pinch, 40 minutes even is good enough. So that way you can just get something out real quick. But the longer it cooks, the more, of course, nutrients it'll pull out of the meat. But for a quick and easy broth, just 40 minutes is good enough. Make sure that the meat is cooked all the way through, and that's it. We have let our broth simmer for about 30 hours now, and we're ready to go ahead and use it. We have actually already strained it out, so we just use a regular strainer. And I set the meat aside to use for something else, and everything else just gets discarded. We feed ours to the chickens, but and then so now we have our broth that's ready to go. Since I'm not making soup right away, I'm not going to put in any seasonings, so that way I can actually customize the broth later to whatever I'm going to be using it for. But it is ready to just have a taste. You know, this is something that, especially during the cold months or during sickness, my family will just take a ladle out, add some salt, and just drink it right up. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you liked it, please go ahead on over to reconstructionlife.com and check out our other videos, and like us on Facebook. And if you have any questions or comments or any ideas for other videos you'd like to see about how we take care of our large family, go ahead and leave those, and I'd be happy to get back with you. Thanks again.